Before we get into any news this week, Russ, I thought we could celebrate Bruce Willis first.
Well, let's celebrate Red Letter Media from stealing our gimmick.
Or was this like a channel beef?
It's the only way you can thrive on YouTube. We have to
channel beefs
to attack other movie channels.
You're burned out, washed up, disgrace to this town.
We did our own Bruce Willis tribute.
Tribute's a kind word.
It is a tribute. It was fun. Last time, we did a little segment where we talked a little bit about Bruce Willis and what's basically happened to him over the past couple of years, where not only is he putting out bad movies, but he's putting out so many at a record pace. Like, you just don't even know what else is he doing with his time or his life other than just showing up to another movie set to film another. Unless these things take like 3 days on his part to film.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
Of course they do. I can tell just from the trailers. It's like you came to one location, you got all these scenes shot in the span of a week, and you're out.
Like that.
When we did this segment the first time, I thought to myself, like, wow, we're going to have to wait a while to do this again. But we really did it. Just yesterday, I saw, in timing with the Oscars, as you know, the Razzies also appear, and they do their worst acting, worst films, worst whatever. They've ceremoniously given Bruce Willis his own category this year. And they nominated 8 of his films.
Wow. You got to admit, the other 34 were pretty good.
In honor of that, him getting his own Razzie category, him putting out another whopping like 10, 12 films this year already, we're going to do another Name That Willis, where we will reveal horrendous, generic, oftentimes recycled poster art, and we'll dare you at home, and you too, Russ, to guess what is the horrendous, generic, and oftentimes recycled movie title. By generic poster art, we basically mean that Bruce Willis's expression is just as lifeless as his performance is. Like, each one of these, he's got just the stare that's like they cropped his head from one poster and moved it to another.
You know what, though? As you said, it is, in a way, a tribute.
It is.
Because this man, for, 40 plus years now, has given us all so much. And regardless of your thoughts on these films, even just like Die Hard, Pulp Fiction, Sixth Sense, those are 3 classics. Whether you like them or not, they are staples. They will be talked about for years to come.
I like that.
Movies are changing. They're not made the same way anymore. It's all streaming. It's all content. He's old. It is a paycheck. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't, it's not that as long as I don't have to watch these movies, it's like, let him collect a paycheck. What are you going to do? I let him have his fun. Let him have his 3 days on a set where, he just glances at the script 5 minutes prior to shooting and
coughs something out and goes back to sleeping, back to the craft food service table.
Oh, that's right. Sometimes you forget I'm a detective.
Bruce Willis, often typecast as a cop, ex-cop, FBI, ex-FBI, CIA, ex-CIA.
Cops. More than one.
Without further ado, let's get this party started.
You ready?
So as always, we're multiple choice here. And every multiple choice guess that you're going to get, Russ, is the title of an actual Bruce Willis movie. This one I thought would be a good place to start because this one's a little easier. Of course, you've got Bruce Willis here looking his normal look, but he's got his sheriff's badge on the lapel.
Wow, they had to put it on the lapel. That's a nice touch.
It is. And
this film has great attention to detail. I might check this one out.
But Russ, would you guess that this movie is called Precious Cargo, American Siege, or Paradise City?
I have to go with American Siege because there is a American flag in the background.
American Siege, you would be correct.
Yes.
American Siege. So the first one right out the gate, Russ, you're good. You got it. For those of you at home, that's the first Bruce Willis sheriff. Take a shot. Here we have Patrick Muldoon.
That looks like a 80-year-old Billy Corgan.
Fuck you.
Would you guess that this movie is called Deadlock,
Jesus,
A Day to Die, or Apex?
I can't stop looking at Bruce Willis's guy liner. I don't know. Apex.
And it is Deadlock. Now here we've got a wax figure of John Cusack standing next to Bruce Willis and Jason Patric here.
It's a mocap John Cusack. Polar Express Cusack.
I mean, Jason Patrick, he's obviously been photoshopped and he's probably had work done, but he's looking
Jason
okay.
Patrick's career is probably the most depressing out of all three of these guys.
Is it Out of Death, First Kill, or The Prince?
Out of Death.
Nope.
The Prince.
You know what's sad? We've done this before, and I feel like these are the same posters.
That's why it is this game. These are the same generic Bruce Willis faces, Bruce Willis posters, even co-stars. Like, look how generic they look. They don't look any better.
Man, if I ever get out of this cast.
Next up, we've got Kellen Lutz. We've got Bruce Willis and Gina Carano. Russ, do you think this movie is called Vendetta, Extraction, or Reprisal?
I'm going to say Reprisal. Before you tell me, though, I'm going to explain why I say Reprisal. He is not wearing a badge on this poster, so I think he has to reprise his role as a law enforcement officer in some capacity.
You got me.
Incorrect, it's Extraction. Next up, we've got Jesse Metcalf, Chad Michael Murray, who is a frequent collaborator with Bruce Willis, and then, of course, Bruce Willis, their center. The tagline here is, "This prison has no bars." But, Russ, would you guess that this movie is titled Fortress, Fortress 2, or Fortress 3?
You're gonna lose.
When you said Fortress, I was like, it's got to be that. This prison has no bars. I was like, yeah. Oh, man.
Well, which Fortress is it?
So
American
I'm
Siege.
going to go with Fortress 3. I think we're that deep into the Fortress franchise right now.
Russ, you'd be incorrect. This is just Fortress number 1. Fortress 2 is
the
in
OG.
pre-production, and Fortress 3 is planned for later in the year. We've got this one with
Mark Paul Gosselaar. Holy shit. This one I might actually watch.
Oh, my fucking dick is hard already.
So would you say, Russ, that this movie is called Precious Cargo, Paradise City, or Gasoline Alley?
I hate games. In fact, I quit grade school because of motherfucking recess.
Well, it has to be Precious Cargo if it's never steal from a thief.
And you would be correct.
Yes.
You got one.
I'm not going to get this one wrong. This is the goddamn partnership I've been waiting for since I was a child. I
Yes.
wanted to see Zach Morris and John McClane together.
Okay. It's riddle time.
Here he is. Frank Grillo and Bruce Willis here. And this kind of reminds me of Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Is this real?
Is this Bruce Willis's Aliens?
Russ, do you think that Bruce Willis and Frank Grillo are starring in a film called Marauders, White Elephant, or Cosmic Sin?
Going off the Bonehead space poster, it has to be Cosmic Sin.
Final answer, Cosmic Sin, and it is Cosmic Sin.
I like how IGN is factored in.
Yes, it's like this is an IGN film.
IGN film.
I mean, this is a little funnier. This is a little funnier.
This one looks funny.
This is a little funnier.
Yeah, really.
Number 8,
God, when does this end?
we've got Thomas Jane, another frequent.
Dude, you know it's sad
Bruce
when
Willis
I don't
collaborator.
even like recognize the names who are being top billed. Who is Amber Childers?
We've got Where the Future Is Your Past here is the tagline. Where the
Looper.
Future, Looper 2.
Or 12 Monkeys. This is
13
the theme,
Monkeys?
13 Monkeys. Willis loves this theme, doesn't he?
He does, he
If
dabbles
he
in
does
sci-fi.
if he does sci-fi,
Surrogates
it's
was
some
one.
time travel shit.
Like that.
If only Marty McFly was a cop, I could have played him.
Russ, I think we've got a new character for you to play now. Are you going to become Bruce Willis? Is that the next iteration? Or is it Carlito and then Bruce?
Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? Instead of Johnny Be Good, he does his Bruno stuff live.
So without further ado, Russ, do you think this movie is called Vice?
Without further ado, in the future, if your kids accidentally set fire to the living room carpet, take it easy on them.
Okay.
Is it called Vice? Is it called Corrective Measures? Or Die Like Lovers?
I'm going to say Die Like Lovers because that's a terrible title, and this looks terrible.
This is a sci-fi thriller about the ultimate resort.
This is my Squid Games.
It's called Vice, because that's the name of the resort.
Fuck.
Thomas Jane, Clive Standen, Theo Rossi, Mike effing Tyson, and Bruce Willis.
It's personal.
It is personal. So do you think that this movie is called Survive the Game, The Wrong Place, or Vendetta.
This has survived the game written all over it.
Bruce Willis does look like he's trying to survive something here. He's trying to survive until a lunch break. The title of this film, which is coming out in 2022, Vendetta. Russ, you ready for the last one?
Yes.
I didn't think it was all bad.
The last one we've got, Russ, is Where Justice Gets Dirty. And this is going to be starring Devon Sawa and Luke Wilson and Bruce Willis. Now, this time the badge is on his jacket, so you know he's police this time around. So is this movie called Wire Room, Gasoline Alley, or Fire with Fire?
I'm going to go Fire with Fire.
Fire with Fire, and it would be Gasoline Alley.
I was close.
Gasoline Alley.
Fire.
Yeah.
You know.
That's about does it for us. If anyone has seen these movies,
I'm sorry.
not only are we sorry, but tell us about them. Is there one we should consider watching just for hilarity's sake? We love you, Bruce.
At least act like you give a shit.